Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting. I will now call the meeting to order. The agenda is there before you. Can I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Councillor King, second by the Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Adoption of the minutes from the regular meeting of April 2nd. Are there any errors or omissions? Okay, any business arising? No business arising. So we'll move on to the Mayor's update. I have one piece of correspondence which I will read out for the benefit of the public. On behalf of my council colleagues, tonight we want to assure all residents the Town of Holyrood, as a public body, recognizes legitimate ATIP requests, and we will continue to honor the intent of the legislation. As part of this council's commitment to openness and transparency, we have improved how we communicate and engage with our residents. We recognize we still have work to do to fully enact the current report, but we also recognize that to make the changes and mark the improvements, there is a process, and we are committed to developing and following that process to make sure we get it right. Recently, the town has witnessed a total of 30 ATIPs, most of them dealing with issues dating back to the pre-council, pre-present council, and pre-current report. The large number of ATIP requests within a short period of time by a small number of individuals are impacting the operations of council and staff and contributing to a workload at a cost to the residents' tax dollars. Council wants to be very clear. We value resident input. We recognize the right of residents to seek information and/or clarification. We will continue to improve on our messaging and our engagement with residents. But Council has an obligation to lead and make balanced decisions on behalf of all residents. We ask residents to recognize the changes already in place, acknowledge that there has been work done and that more work continues, and please be patient as we work together to get it all done. We projected a year to complete some of these objectives, and we are continue to work on them. We ask residents, please, not to use the ATIP process as a process to settle personal disputes with past issues involving past councils, staff, and decisions. Our town deserves the opportunity to move forward in a direction identified through the work of the current reports and with the support and cooperation of everyone. Advice is totally accepted and considered, and where possible, implemented to make that way forward a true collaborative approach. Based on our recent experience with the processes involved in responding to these requests and the amount of time taken away from the municipal work getting done, our council will be forwarding letters of concern to the Premier, the Department of Municipal Affairs and Municipalities Newfoundland regarding the process and the detrimental effect it has on getting work done at the municipal level. So that is a statement on behalf of my fellow councillors. Would anybody like to make any comments?
Yeah, I just want to say, respond to the piece of correspondence that our mayor just read out. It's been a challenging past few months with the number of ATIP requests that we have received. We want to be able to be sure to follow the ATIP legislation properly, but we want our residents to do that as well, to put in requests that are legitimate requests, um, so that we can, you know, reply to those as necessary. But what we're seeing a lot of is things that are based on things that are on our website, that have not been changed yet to reflect the current report, the operational review and strategic plan. So we ask people to be patient there in that piece, to wait for us to internally develop the plans available for each department in line with those reports, which will be put up then on the Facebook page and our website. And we want also to be able to support our staff, because right now our staff are working mostly on ATIP requests. Yes, there's things getting done within the town, obviously, but we are, we're slower in getting those things done because of all the time that is associated with that. So I just want to say, this is a way forward for us to be able to hopefully get legitimate ATIP requests in, and for us to move forward with the town and to show our support for our staff that are doing an excellent job in those ATIP requests.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Crawley.
Yes, good evening. Absolutely supporting that letter that from the town staff, council, everyone. And as Chair of Communications, we have worked tirelessly to make this a better way to communicate, make our town communicating better with everyone else and with our residents, with our stakeholders, with our business. And like I said, legitimate requests come in, legitimate questions come in. We respond to anything that we feel warrants a proper response. When people are, commenting on things that happened in the past that are over and done, we don't feel like that is probably a legitimate use of our time to spend on those requests, because it is things that are in the past and have been completed, finished, they're no longer in our view site, they're off the table. As Deputy Mayor said, patience. We requested patience, and from just a few residents that don't seem to be listening and honoring our requests for this patience, the current report came in. We're not expected to implement all those strategies overnight. It is impossible to implement everything overnight. When I stood up here a month ago and mentioned about the website, we know that there's things on the website. We know we were working on them, working through them, and we still got ATIP requests, which means that there's an entire process that takes up several of our staff to go through, when really another question came in by email and was quickly responded to and answered on the website. So I think some of those ATIP processes are being abused, and as I said, we'll be writing letters on through to make sure that our concerns are heard by the minister, in right up through whatever levels of government we need to speak to make sure that they realize the burden that they're putting on our towns. And I know that we are not the only town that is suffering through this. And I say suffering because that's what happened, and I'm not sure if that was the actual end game, but that's what's happening here between our town and our staff and our council. And it should not reflect all the wonderful things that this council has done and will promise to do, continuing, and our staff as well. So we stand behind our staff, we support our staff, and we're just not going to accept it anymore.
Thank you very much, Councillor Crawley. Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also support the statement that was read out by yourself, and but saying that, people, residents, everybody has a legal right to ask for information. It's the law, right? And they have a right to get an answer. But you don't have a right, in my opinion anyway, to overload the system to the point where nothing gets done, or you're doing it not to access information. You're doing it because you know it's going to make people work twice as hard, it's going to be frustrating, and everything else. So it needs to be used for exactly what the purpose that it was designed for. It was designed to access information. But on the other side of that also, it's incumbent on municipalities to be able to, provide residents with the proper information. And as it was brought up last year out in Gander by a lawyer from Municipal Affairs, if you're allowed to give this information out, and it does not interfere with privacy or any of the regulations, you should not force a resident, regardless if they're from Holyrood or wherever, to go through the ATIP system. If you can look at it and say, look, if they go through the ATIP system, they're going to get the information anyway, well, give it to them, right? And like Councillor Crowley was saying, there are communities here in Newfoundland who have town clerks who only work one or 2 days a week. So can you imagine the workload putting on some of them if they came into their office, say on a Tuesday or a Monday or whatever, and the only thing staring them in the face that morning was 10 or 12 ATIP requests? Well, there would be nothing in the town to get done because that person only works on Tuesday in one particular community out around Bonavista. The town clerk only comes in on Tuesday and comes in on Thursday. So how much town business would get done? So it's a double-edged sword, and but it should never be used as a retaliation against a resident, and it should never be used for residents as a retaliation against council. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor King. Any other comments? Councillor King, Sadie King.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, I fully support what's going on here. Our staff are spending about probably 75% of their time dealing with issues in the past. And what are we achieving by it? We can't bring back the past, and we can't fix any mistakes that were made. And if our staff are going to spend 3 parts of their time dealing with the past, then we're not going to have a future here in Holyrood. That's my feeling.
Well said. Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor. I won't say too much because it'd just be beating a dead horse, I suppose. But I will say that I support the message that was delivered and the positive messages that were sent by the other councillors and the rationale. Access to information, that is the legislation, and every resident has a right to ask those questions 100%. As other councillors have mentioned, though, I think that it has overwhelmed the system and it has been abused, and nothing is getting done. I shouldn't say nothing is getting done, but it's having a major impact on good work getting done. And what are we actually accomplishing by doing that, right? So, nothing further here, but I support the message, yeah.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Oh, Councillor Tilley, I'm sorry.
I also add into that, I totally support this message. When I started this role a short time ago, one thing that I seen was very open to me was that the transparency that the council is putting forth. Everything that comes in, it's transparent to everybody who was here, it's transparent from the staff and the other council members and the mayor. Again, I look forward to a future, again, as Councillor Windsor said, I look forward to a future in the town of Holyrood and not something that we're living in the past. The time spent regurgitating the past is probably not the best way for our staff and our council to be going forward, and I look forward to positive thoughts about the future, positive actions for the future, and positive plans for the future. So I just wanted to add my support in for that letter as well.
Okay. Thank you all very much for your input and your commentary and support on this statement. Okay, Madam CEO, any correspondence?
Nothing to be tabled, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to planning and development. We have Deputy Mayor Woodford and Councillor Windsor.
Good evening again, everybody.
Your mic is not on.
Here we go. Good evening again, everybody. Take 2, yeah. The Planning and Development Committee, we met on April 17th via Zoom with Councillor Windsor, Public Works Director Robert Stacey, Marie Searle, who was sitting in for our CAO, and myself in attendance. During that meeting, there were 4 applications reviewed. All 4 required further information. The Public Works Director and our CAO were tasked to reach out to the applicants to get that information in before we made any recommendations for motions. We did have a letter from the Town of Logie Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove with regards to municipal plan amendment. We reviewed that. We also looked at our retaining wall regulations. We had some conversation with our town planner on that and how we fit that into our fence policy. And we are also in the stage right now, the town planner is preparing the draft presentation for our town, our new town plan. And we're hoping to have that to council, that presentation sometime, I believe, early May. 7th of May. So that will be good for us moving forward with that as well. I think that's it before I get to the couple of motions that we have there. Councillor Windsor, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, that was perfect, Deputy Mayor. Well said.
Okay. Short and sweet. Okay, so for our motions this evening, we have a permit listing. Be it resolved to table and approve the attached permit listing. 7 permits were issued from April 2nd to April 24th and includes permits for residential, general repairs, ditching, patio, and accessory building. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, count your mind, the motion is carried.
And from the Town of Logie Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove Municipal Plan Amendment, the town received a proposed amendment to the St. John's Urban Regional Plan from the Town of Logie Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove. The proposed amendments, proposed St. John's Urban Regional Plan, oh, this is like tongue twister. 1976 Amendment Number 5, 2023. Proposed Logie Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove Municipal Plan Amendment Number 1 and Development Regulations Amendment Number 1, 2023. Be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood has no comment on the proposed amendment from the Town of Logie Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Crowley. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
And that's it from Planning and Development, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much, folks. And now we'll move on to recreation and community events. So we have Councillor Sadie King and Councillor Tilley.
Good evening, everyone. The Recreation Committee held their meeting on April the 24th. In attendance, Mayor Gobi on Zoom, Councillor Tilley, CAO Marjorie Gibbons, Recreation and Community Service Director Kyle Hocko, and yours truly. Since we are now into spring, our community garden is due to open. Registrants who have had a plot or plots last year will be contacted to see if they are interested in obtaining a plot again this year. When that has been done, then it will be open to other people who want to apply. And if they want to apply, they can just call the town hall and put their name in and pay their $20 and they will have their plot. And if this weather keeps up, I don't think we'll need a community garden. You'll need a skating rink. Our winter session for Active for Life has ended and the spring session has already started. Soccer registration is from May the 6th to the 17th and Camp Ahoy registration is May the 22nd at 6 p.m. and this is all online. Planning is ongoing for the Squid Fest, and at our committee meeting, we had a lot of discussion on Squid Fest, especially the beach party night. And one of the things we're really looking at is having more security this year. And there's other improvements we hope to make for it as well. The tickets went on sale today, and they can be purchased online. And now I have the best news of all. Really good news.
Wow.
The request for proposals for the first phase of the community center is now with Municipal Affairs. They are hoping to have this posted by Friday. The project includes a feasibility study, schematic design, estimate, and presentation to council. This will determine the most economical center for the town, with the goal being to determine the size of the building and services that will be most beneficial to the residents. And Mabel, if you have anything to add? That's it for me.
That is great news to hear. Hear, hear. Good news, and it's where the process is well underway. So, all good. Okay, thank you very much, folks, for that update. And now we'll move on to infrastructure and public works. Councillor King and Councillor Windsor.
Good evening, everyone. For my very boring update after that wonderful news, Councillor King. Absolutely wonderful news. Our committee met on April 18th, and all committee members were present. We did have a substitute for the CAO was away that day. We had Marie Searle fill in, Director Stacy, Mayor, and Councillor Sadie King. So a few topics we discussed there. One was the main beach lift station pump. We had a failure, and due to the forward thinking and planning of council and the town staff, we have a critical spare available, right? So we were able to quickly respond and install the critical spare. But now we have to look at how we set ourselves up for the next time, right? So just some preliminary numbers for you. A repair cost of the old pump estimated approximately 10,000. A replacement cost, so we can have a brand new spare, could be up to 25,000. So next steps, seeking formal pricing, and maybe a subsequent motion will follow to make gas tax application. Okay, so that's one. That's important. A few other things we discussed, like the seasonal change now coming into the spring and summer, and bringing back our seasonal workers. A lot of great work to do, and there's lots of great work to be done. We talked about the potential paving projects, memory benches, and getting them stained. We talked about the ditching campaign. That's been in progress. People have probably seen that around the town.
Yeah.
We rented a mini excavator, and the work has been going very well. So we want to keep that going. The other thing we talked about was leak detection equipment and our approach going forward. In the past, we've been able to avail of, we're fortunate to avail of borrowing that equipment. But that opportunity is no longer available to us. So it's not currently in our budget for 24, but something we need to consider now for 25. So any of this summer, if there's a leak, we might be renting something, but we need to decide what we want to do here going forward in the longer term. So there's that. And last item, we did discuss the excavation in Marina Shores, and truly that is a matter for legal to contact the estate of the developer. It's not a town matter, it's not our property, but it's not to say that we aren't concerned about it and concerned about potential safety concerns. So we are engaging with our legal to make contact with the estate and see if something can be done. I don't know if I missed anything, Councillor King? Okay, that's it. All right, thank you.
Councillor Windsor, I had a question posed to me a few days ago regard to the street sweeping. So I think that's something now we'll have to bring up at the next Public Works meeting, because as we all know, there's a lot of by roads now that are full of sand and everything else.
Yeah, and I noticed other municipalities are starting to launch their campaigns for that too, right? So it's time for it.
I believe that was advertised. Yes, come to think of it. I take,
We didn't discuss it at that meeting, but tenders
the director got an RFQ.
timing of when we start that, we should talk about that in the next meeting.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, any questions or comments with Public Works and Infrastructure? If not, Thank you very much, folks. We'll move on to Economic Development. Deputy Mayor.
The Economic Development Committee, we met on April the 8th via Zoom with our CAO Marjorie Gibbons, our Mayor Gary Gooby, and myself in attendance. We reviewed the details regarding the OHI position. And that is for communications assistant / event planner. And the deadline for submission, that's already gone out. The deadline for submission, I believe, was April the 19th. So we are in the process now, I guess, of determining an evaluation tool for those resumes based on the qualifications that were required. And hopefully we will have that position filled shortly. We had one business application that was reviewed during that meeting that was sent to Planning and Development. Also, we discussed the issue with unregistered businesses. It's still an issue here in Holyrood, even though we've done, a little campaign on educating our business community of the importance of registering with the town and the benefits that come behind it. But still, we do have calls that are made from other business owners and other residents within the town that identify that there are businesses operating that are not registered. And it's difficult to capture everyone, unfortunately. But we have to come up with some type of plan in order to get as many businesses, if not all businesses, registered with the town. So our recommendation was to go out for our CAO to go out to other municipalities and government agencies to try to get some information on how they deal with it, so that we can have a plan forward to solve the problem. We also, with this business session that we had talked about, we brought it up a couple of public meetings for the business community, the networking session that we're planning on having. That will be one of the duties for our communications assistant. So there will be more coming on that as that person is hired on. We're hoping to have that sometime during the summer, definitely. So just stay tuned for more information as it becomes available. We also talked about the ATIP requests, because I'm sure that most committees did bring that up at some point in time. But for economic development, a lot of the ATIP requests that were coming in dealt with economic development, or were looking for more information regarding economic development. And I think a lot of that had to do with the disconnect between what was on our website, the old information that was there, and the new information with the current report, and even with the, OHR report. So, we'll continue to do what we're doing in economic development. We'll continue to honor the information that needs to go out through the ATIP requests, but we also want our business community and our business owners to feel comfortable to know, yes, it's a legislative process. We do have to give out information, but we're very keen on identifying the privacy and confidentiality piece within the legislation, so that our business community and our business owners will feel comfortable knowing that we've checked every box before information is sent out. So any sensitive, confidential information that is not required under the ATIP process will be kept confidential. So we just want to let our business community know that. And with regards to the last piece that we discussed was the OHR report. Of course, this report has been was completed by consultant Pat Curran. A copy of that report was given to all of council. The Economic Development Committee will continue to work through the recommendations of that report to ensure we promote ocean development, and especially support the Marine Institute and the launch to maximize the benefits and opportunities to the town. Just want everyone to realize that that report is a living, document, because we will be working with other stakeholders and other industries, other organizations within the ocean sector to find ways, to create more economic opportunities within the town of Holyrood. So at the, to hopefully tomorrow, this document will be posted on the website, or are we going to wait until we've completed all of the development plans?
I think it's a separate piece.
Yes.
So it can be posted.
Okay.
Because it's a separate piece.
Okay.
from our
So, yeah, and that will come up, that will probably come up in
Document.
communications, so I'll leave that to Laura to bring up in communications. But other than that, that's it from Economic Development Committee.
Okay, just one clarification, when he spoke on that position there with the OHI,
Yes,
that position is funded.
yes,
It's not a budget item.
no,
It
no,
didn't come out of our budget.
no.
It's funding that
I
was
believe it's funded through
allocated
COA.
to us from ACOA to OHI.
Yes. So we have to basically put in a request to ACOA for that specific purpose, and our CAO has done that in different meetings that she's had with them. They've identified that this would be good for us to do this and moving forward.
Right, and all this done through the current report, and it's monitored by ACOA to make sure that this money is spent where it's intended
Yes.
to be spent,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So obviously, because they're giving us this funding, they see true value in what we are doing and what we are trying to accomplish and achieve for the betterment, not only of the town, but for the whole region, promoting ocean science and technology in our community, which will yield many benefits over time for the community and the whole region, and will certainly, like you say, we'll be working in collaboration, in partnership with the Marine Institute, because we are in the process of doing the memorandum of understanding, which should be completed soon. So, over time, this is not something that will unfold overnight, but, we're recognizing the things identified in the current report. We know where we're going with this, and it's years down the road, but over time, you will see, a lot of benefits accrue from that.
absolutely.
So, okay.
Okay.
Any questions or comments on that? If not, thank you very much for that update. And now we'll move on to public safety. So we have Councillor King and Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a few points and then I will turn it over to Councillor Tilley to close the loop. We had our public safety meeting on the 16th of April. The mayor and Councillor Tilley attended the meeting via phone. Myself and the fire chief attended in person, and our CEO was out of town at the time, could not participate. Some of the points that we covered in the meeting, the first one, the new rescue vehicle. Chief Kenny had a meeting with Fort Garry on the 3rd of April, and that vehicle will be delivered, barring any unforeseen circumstances, on the 30th of September of this year.
Here, here.
And prior to the vehicle actually showing up, the vehicle will be on display at the Firefighters Convention, at the annual convention, so everybody will see Holyrood's new truck. And I'm pretty sure once the vehicle gets on the ground, I think talking to the chief, there's going to be a little bit of like an open house, open to the public for people to come in and have a look at the new vehicle. So everybody's looking forward to that. The other point that was discussed was the junior firefighter program. That's moving ahead really good, and I just want to put a big shout out to the town of CBS and their fire department for the donations, because if you think back about a month ago, we asked if anybody, other fire departments had any equipment that they would like to donate to offset hours for the junior firefighter program, and we had an excellent response. A big thank you to the town of CBS and their fire department. They came through with equipment. Clarenville as well, the Clarenville Fire Department also, and Spaniards Bay. And there's a couple of more that may come up in the near future, and when they come up, we'll let everybody know. So we are well on our way to getting things lined up for the junior firefighter program. The training ground was another point of discussion. The fire chief wants to increase the facility there. She also wants to get some like crushed stone in, put in a concrete pad, stuff like that, to make it more accessible, and to start to increase the amount of training that the fire department does now. That it's a little bit restrictive now because of the lack of the facility. But we're hoping this summer that will be sorted out. The other thing that's in the works now and should be sorted out soon is the fire service agreements with places like Deer Park, Vinland Road, and Middle Gull Pond. So that should be up and running soon, and there should be more clarification on that one as well. And the last one I want to talk about, it wasn't on the minutes, but if you look at the news lately, especially local news here, not just Holyrood, but everywhere else, you see every time you turn on the news, there's something being stolen, right? Vehicles are being stolen. Every ATV, somebody even stole someone's boat, right? If you look at the church out in I think it was out in Grand Falls, you know, people went in
Stole food.
and stole the food from almost like you know, years ago, and I'm sure some of the people here who are a little bit older than I am can remember years ago when the church, you never ever locked the church doors, right? Now you got to lock up the garbage can, let alone the church doors, right? So people, there is nothing sacred, I guess the best word for it, anymore when it comes to stealing. And I mean, not only that, but they're bold enough to stick their face up in the camera so you can get a good look at them, right? So I mean, I guess the warning to residents is very simple. You know, keep an eye on your property. Don't be advertising, like we said, at Christmas time. Don't advertise your new boat or your new ATV, because if you do, you might never get a chance to use it. So just be careful of what you're doing, and you know, and report it to the RCMP or report it to somebody, and hopefully it'll be sorted out. Anyway, that's all I have, and at this time I will turn it over to Councillor Tilley. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councillor King. However, I don't think you left me much to say, because it was all pretty much summed up in your statement. Summed up. I did want to add into as well, is last month the Ground Search and Rescue in this area had a joint session with the Holyrood Fire Department. We did a how can search and rescue help? How can they support? What resources and tools do we have that might be of benefit to the local fire department? That was a great information session for both fire department and search and rescue, and we've learned that there are some gaps in things that the Holyrood Fire Department have when it comes to equipment, what can be offered, some things that maybe search and rescue can help, and vice versa. We've also learned that the relationship needs to be stronger, and that's something that both myself, my team, Chief Kenny and her team are going to work towards, and make sure that any gaps that are in there that are filled, and again, it will be done through the proper channels, be brought to council, and it will be made sure that it is the best protection that's out there for everybody in the residents of Holyrood, especially in surrounding cabin areas. Now cabin time is coming. We're getting into boat safety. We're getting into people May 24th weekend will be out and about. And again, these are things that we want to make sure that everybody has, if something do go wrong, full resources are there to be used. So that's something I just wanted to add in there.
Okay, that's fantastic news to hear. Thank you very much, Councillor Tilley and Councillor King. So now we'll move on. Do anybody have any questions or comments on that update? No? Okay, we'll move on to communication. So we have Deputy Mayor and Councillor Crawley.
Hey, communications. We met via Zoom. Myself, Councillor King, Deputy Mayor, had her regrets, Director Kyle Hocko, and CAO Marjorie Gibbons. So we met on April 18th. A few of the things we picked up on, we are still talking about cell phone coverage. I can't believe it. I think I've sat here or stood here probably 3 years now talking about the same thing. But I did watch the House of Assembly, and our MHA, Helen Conway Ottenheimer, stood up and gave a fantastic speech to the Speaker. And I was a little disappointed in the reply, just because I think the wrong message got across was that government pay for provisions in cell phone coverage, but that wasn't the point. It was that we need more people to lobby the technology companies. So I think if that message would come across a little bit stronger from our government, both provincially and federally, would help and would go a long way. And I know residents are coming up some plans of their own, which fully support, keep going, like things like I'm not condoning not paying the bills, but this is some of the plans that I see being pitched out there, stopping service, changing service providers, not paying for a while, doing like bans, things like that. But anyway, people are going to start taking it upon themselves, is the point. And so if it's not looked at, if it's not taken care of, then those are the issues we're going to find down the road. So it's going to get worse before it gets better, it seems. So hopefully our government will step up, and especially going right through to the federal government as well. So that's some of our next steps as well. We put out a campaign out on our website through our communications channel that we are no longer supporting the app, the municipal app that we were using previously. There was less than 40 users on it for a town of 2,800, very few, and the updates weren't always coming as bright and communicated as clearly as we would have liked. So we are looking into other options, and I know some companies that are out there, and we've looked at some apps. When we have more information, we're going to release it. But for now, we ask that you please stick to our website and our own Facebook page. So that is the Town of Holyrood official Facebook page. And keep going through the proper channels for our communication until we can come up with a better way to report. We are working on that external communications policy, and this is part of it. One of the things we need is how to contact our residents. So we're going to start working in our database. We're trying to collect and gather information. What's the best way to contact? And we're hoping to find a better platform to do that. We're working on our own social media policy as well. Seems to be a lot of our problems are stemming from social media, so it's one of the things that we're looking at for a policy for that. We made up several responses to valid inquiries from residents, and we are working through, again, that communication policy where we genuinely look at valid requests and respond to them through the proper channel and means. So I think that's it. I do have a motion, but I don't know if Deputy Mayor or Councillor King would like to add anything right now. You're okay? Nothing? Okay. So, in conjunction with what Deputy Minister had said, we know that through the current report there's been many suggestions and recommendations made, and we are working to resolve those recommendations. And because of that, some of our information on our website is outdated because it was from previous councils and previous town business. So, be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood take the necessary measures to upgrade the Town of Holyrood website to reflect the changes needed based on the new strategic plan and the reorganization within the departments as recommended by the current reports. This work will begin immediately and will be transitioned as quickly as possible using services available to us. So moved.
Okay, moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Further discussion?
Just like to say, as was pointed out, OHI is its separate entity from our website. There's a link on our town website to the OHI website, but it is a separate entity and is not included in this restructuring. The OHI website will put up their own report that was just produced by Pat Kern as well. So.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments?
No, I just want to say that I think this is a necessary measure for us because of like I said earlier, the disconnect between the reports that we have and the information that's currently there. We're not giving a timeline because really this is going to be piece by piece as we move through the different sectors of the report. Yeah. The only thing that we can promise, it will be done in a timely manner. As we get the pieces within each department, identify those departmental plans, then the information will be will go on the website, and
Yep.
then that piece that's under construction on that website, that specific piece, will come down, and the public will have access to it.
It'll come live. As
Oh,
soon as
right.
it's done, it'll be made live as we get the pieces done. Yep,
Perfect.
and that can be done segmented.
And if I
Absolutely.
could say it again, because I've said it many times, I certainly applaud the Communications Committee for the great work that you've all been doing. It is a significant piece of work, trying to improve openness, transparency, get as much information out, improving operations, internally, externally, social media. It is. It's not something that can be done in
Yeah.
6 months or even a year. I mean, this is going
2
to
years.
be a document that will live long into the future. But I got to say, the committee's doing a phenomenal job in what has been accomplished thus far. And, there are vast improvements. And, of course, you're still at it. So
Just to-
congratulations
Keeps
to
going.
all the committee.
Yeah, and it'll always be a working document.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
As all policies are and communications and stuff, there's always changing, and we know how fast technology changes and people change, and I think I think people forget sometimes that there's people behind the technology. So when people are saying, like, I think when Councillor Buckler, they're like, he's still up there, he's not off the website yet. Let's take a breath. Remember that he served this council for, 12, 17 years. It's okay that it takes a minute to take them down off the website, but of course, Councillor Tilly, yes, we got to get you up. It's not that we're not recognizing you. It's that these things sometimes take time, and there's someone behind there that still has to do that work.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Needs to
Yeah.
be recognized.
Okay,
that's it.
that
We just need to vote.
motion has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried. And you're still on your feet?
I didn't even bother to
Councillor
sit down this
Crowley
time.
for the Corporate Service and Administration update.
Sat down enough today. Okay, corporate services. We met, Councillor Bruce King, myself, Director Marie Searle, and CAO Marjorie Gibbons met on April 25th. We had a financial update and expense and revenue, and we're up to 40% of our property taxes paid, which is fantastic, as today is the deadline for property tax. We're up to 40% with water and sewer, and we're expecting that it's mid-May is the deadline for water and sewer tax. And our business tax is up to 68% with up the payments for those known registered businesses. 89% to fire services. So our revenue is right where we want it to be at this time of the year. So we are definitely on par. Same with our expenditures. Wonderful. We created a new rule of thumb for our invoices, that it was a 30-day turnaround, and it has served us very well. It's working out really well for the town because we are now completely paid up for our Eastern Regional Services Board. So all our waste management fees and everything have been paid for the year. So that is fantastic to know that we don't have these invoices kind of straggling along and come along. We have a real-time view of what our income and expense is. And that's definitely going to help us come budget time. It's going to make the process much smoother and be able to see what we're actually working with versus having bills outstanding from a year, 8 months, 9 months, which is what we found in the past. Our insurance is all paid up as well, so it's another one of our big bills, fully insured, taken care of. And I think that was kind of it. We had a loan, which we have a motion on the table for that. Nothing new. It was already in the budget. It's just that we have to renegotiate it now that we know when our fire rescue vehicle is going to be here. We have to secure the date for the loan, so that will be in a motion now. And we did get a recommendation for our Make-A-Wish fund as well. So we'll be reaching out to partners in the community as well, and hopefully we'll make it a little bit of an event that the Run the Rock will be passing through Holyrood. So more information on that to come. Councillor King, do you have anything else to add?
No, we're perfect.
Okay. Oh, did you just say I'm perfect?
Yes,
I heard that. I heard that.
You heard that, didn't you? I heard that.
I want to make sure that's on the record.
Practically perfect in every way, just like Mary Poppins. Yeah. Oh, everyone knows how far away that is. Okay. we're gonna we'll just move right into our motions. Be it resolved, those accounts tabled in the amount of $487,540.34, checks numbered 45770 to 45874, and D3964 to D4011 to be approved for payment from the general account. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion?
That's a huge number, and I know it's bigger than any number I've ever announced. But as you just mentioned,
Right.
look at the bills we just paid, a full year's of waste management and insurance,
The big ones.
which is very unusual to have that one big lump sum payment, and we were able to do it and clear that off our account. So
Yep.
that's why the large number.
Okay, any other questions or comments on that motion? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried.
Okay. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood requests ministerial approval to borrow $217,517.30 from the Rural Bank for a term amortization of 5 to 7 years at a rate of 5.8% with a monthly repayment of $3,158. The purpose of this loan is to secure the new rescue vehicle for the fire department. The town has received $100,000 from fire and emergency services towards the vehicle, and this expenditure was already identified in the 2024 budget through fiscal services. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion, and the fire department are absolutely delighted that this is all signed, sealed, delivered, approved, and now we're just waiting on delivery date.
And I think everyone else in the town will be too, once they realize the emergency services that are going to be provided at a quicker amount of time for least amount of money.
Exactly.
So once that starts setting into people and realize the benefit of this fire rescue vehicle, you won't mind that this was in the budget for 2024.
Absolutely. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Contrary-minded, motion is carried.
And we still have a healthy bank book balance of $137,442.72.
Good. Okay, under new business, I'll do the go-around, starting with Deputy Mayor.
Nothing else for me this evening, sir.
Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to, one point that's near and dear to my heart, and that's bulk garbage. Right? I went through the site there today, and just looking at it, and trying to compare what residents, and not just residents of Holyrood either, I mean, because Eastern Waste Management takes in a lot of areas, right? And if you think back to when we used to have two pickups a year, okay? If you eliminated the one that they used to try to, you have to put your bulk garbage out with your snowmobile in March. But you know, we put the stuff out on the side of the road. It could have been there for days and days before it finally got picked up. But while it was on the road, people went by and they would take stuff out of it, right? I remember last year, I put out, just God is my witness, put out a set of moose antlers because I didn't want them anymore. And before I got back in the driveway, there was a guy stopped and picked them up, and he said, "Can I have them?" I said, "Absolutely." He said, "I'm going to put them in the cabin now, and I'm going to be able to tell all kinds of stories about this set of antlers." Right? I said, "Go for it." That's what I did. Right? So, but a lot of the stuff that was there, whether it be furniture, bicycles, barbecues, people took that stuff and they recycled it and did it and reused it again. So it was, this stuff was being recycled, right? So it wasn't just going to the landfill, it was being used and you know, by people. But now they got it up now where, you know, you can't book till June, and then you're not getting picked up till the end of July, and they sent out this complete list of all these different things, you know. But if you also think back when we had two pickups, we still had problems with people dumping garbage on back in the country or back on the sides of the road or whatever. But when you look at all the stuff now that people have to do, to put your garbage out there. I feel that 90% of this stuff now is going to end up on the back roads. But not only is it going to end up on the back roads, especially here in Holyrood, we're going to be the ones ending up having to pay for it.
Yep.
Because if somebody, like the incident that happened last year down on Hydro Road, somebody went down there and they threw out a pile of old stuff, who had to go down and pick it up?
Search
Right.
and rescue.
Right? Yeah, right. So I mean, somebody had to go down and pick it up. And the same way with the town staff, they got to go when somebody calls about garbage on the side of the road somewhere. We have to send the town staff to go pick it up. So it's still going to cost us more money. I think they should have left what they had in place first, just tweaked it a little bit, get rid of the winter pickup, and go into the summer. And even if they could do it in an extra day or so, as opposed to leaving it by the side of the road, because some of the stuff that they got here contradicts the other. Because if you don't have it together in a pile or and if it's scattered all over the place, they're not going to pick it up. Well, if they're not going to pick it up in 3 or 4 days, how many days do you get here on the road that you don't have wind and stuff like that? So the stuff may blow around anyway, right? So I think they really need to look at this again. And make it a lot easier for people and make it less complicated, because it's only going to make things worse when it comes to recycling. It's only going to make things work for people not wanting to put garbage out and trying to get rid of it in the death of night. So I think this year we're going to be in for a bit of a nightmare when it comes to bulk garbage and the amount of illegal dumping that you're going to see on the side roads and into the country. So hopefully they'll hear it and maybe make some changes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If I could just add to that, back about 6 months ago, I guess, I spoke with Mr. Tessier. He's the chair of the Eastern Regional Services Board, and we spoke about many issues, several. I won't get into it now. It's not the proper form to do so. But, they're striving to try to make things more efficient, more effective, improving the service and everything else. So, from what I gathered from that conversation is that, they're trying stuff different, like the merch collection. I mean, that's the reason why that I reached out to him from the beginning. And he assured me, he said, this won't happen anymore because it's done on a rotational basis with different towns. They have their bulk garbage collected on certain months. But that year, it started in March. And of course, when I, spoke to him regarding, how upset residents were, the fact, like somebody said earlier, you're going out in when there's still snow on the ground and heavy winds and everything else and trying to put out bulk garbage, like, he even agreed, like, this will not happen anymore. Now, the system they're trying this year, when you have to book your appointment, it may work, it may improve, or it may be a complete disaster. And I'm sure if it's a complete disaster, they're going to hear from the municipalities, they're going to hear from this municipality, and try something more effective, or go back to the old system. But I did say he's a great guy to deal with, very understanding, very courteous, heard our concerns, and, they get it because they're not only hearing from us, but they're hearing from other municipalities as well. And not only that, but it's the contractor who has a lot of say in how this whole thing is done. So we'll just monitor. We'll see how it goes this year. I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt with this having to, pre-order or advise in advance of when you want your garbage collected, and they'll set a date for you, and we'll see how it goes. So that's all I want to add to that, Councillor King. All right, we'll move on to Councillor Crowley.
Not too much, just to say that it will be brought, I'll be bringing it to the Northeast Joint Avalon Council as well, because they have representative from Eastern Waste Management there as well. So it's been brought up, and it'll be petitioned again and brought up again, because there's always a representative. But if we don't meet before May 24th, which I don't think we do, everyone be safe, heed the words of our search and rescue and public safety experts here, and keep all your safety in mind.
Good point. Thank you very much. Councillor Tilley. You're good. Councillor King. You got it.
Bruce brought up about bulk garbage. Well, if you drive through Holyrood right now, it's not bulk garbage, it's all kinds of garbage along the sides of our road, and it's getting to be very, very dirty around. So if people would just take the initiative when the weather fines up and just look in front of their own properties and clean up that much, it certainly would make a difference.
Yeah, we don't need to wait for the 2-hour tidy.
No, we don't.
Right?
No.
You can do it prior to the 2-hour tidy.
We need to take a lot of pride in our own community.
And I drive around every day, sometimes twice a day, and I am seeing folks out now that are tidying up in front, and you can see them down the ditch and cleaning up, but, there's a lot that's not, and we need to really encourage that. Another thing I would strongly encourage is people purchase little bags to go in their vehicles, to put on your stick to change your gears, and if you got a Tim Hortons, well, I shouldn't say Tim's, but a coffee cup or a bag of chips, there's garbage cans that we provide that are all over the community. They're everywhere. They're over on North Side, they're down by the marina, they're over North Side, they're over North Arm, they're everywhere. Along with the bin bug composting centres that we've got over on the main beach, down on Duff Strait. There's no excuse to see garbage that is thrown out the window. And like Councillor King and Councillor Sadie King brings this up every single year, and she's absolutely right. This is nothing only neglect on people's part and showing total disrespect for the community and the environment. And I know that a lot of this is, I'm not pointing fingers at our residents, because I think really at the end of the day is people passing through. Is passing through. And wherever you were to when you're finished with that bag of chips, down with the window, out she goes, especially if it's in the night time and nobody can see. But it's the community that's left to have to clean it all up. And it is, I agree, I see it. And it's uncalled for. Put a little bag in your vehicle, folks. And when you see a garbage can, a town garbage can, stop and put it in. Very simple. That's it. Okay, Councillor Windsor, you can wrap it up.
Nothing further here, Mayor. Thank you.
You're good. All right.
Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
I apologize because I missed this on the first go round, so hopefully people don't mind second go round. Councillor King introduced last month during public meeting that this is the Year of the Arts, and we'd like to take each meeting and recognise an artist from our community or someone that has an impact on our community. And I was privileged enough to be invited down to our Heritage Museum when there was an unveiling of an art that was inspired by our own Gerald Squires, and it was some beautiful artwork. So there's not only a lot of artwork by Gerald Squires, but actually stuff that's been inspired by him as well. And in the Heritage Museum, they have his workbench is there, and it's set up exactly as he had it left. His easel is there exactly as it was, with his apron hanging on and his Tilly hat that he always wore everywhere he went. There is absolutely beautiful inspired work down there. Moss, branches. He loved roots and rocks. Roots and rocks was a big part of his artwork, and it is beautifully displayed. And we're working right now to create the Gerald Squires room. So an exhibition room, which is going to be beautiful. I know it is. And so we just want to tip our hats to Gerald Squires, and he was a longtime resident of Holyrood.
Thanks for raising that, and there's no doubt about it. When all that's fully complete, I can assure you there's going to be visitors, because I did speak with the curator down there, and there's no doubt about it. That piece alone is going to attract visitors. When they come to this province, they're going to want to come to Holyrood just to see this Gerald Squires piece, because he left a legacy, and well known right across the country, across the province, internationally. He was world renowned. And if somebody is in the province or in St. John's and they appreciate and value the work that this guy has done, I can guarantee you're going to see a lot of activity at the museum this summer. And in regards to the arts, we have a lot of artists in this community. and we're going to get through them and recognize them all. I don't want to go name names here tonight because I'm going to miss them, but tonight we're zooming in on the Jerry Squires Gallery. But as time moves forward, we will be recognizing other artists in the community because I tell you, there's quite a few artists and musicians and sports legends. So, okay, that wraps up the meeting. Date of the next meeting is May 28th at 6 p.m. Could I have a motion to adjourn, please? Moved by Councillor Crowley, seconded by Councillor King. All those in favour? Those against? Meeting stands adjourned.